What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Raise the Standard podcast with your host, Kaylin Piles. If you are brand new here, welcome, and thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you're new to this podcast is all about personal development tools, your own self-discovery journey, personal development journey, and we discuss it all here. We discuss the growing pains, we discuss the highs, the lows, the depths, and we focus on mind, body, and soul in order to reach our highest version of ourselves and create a life that we're obsessed with, because we only get one life. And so we might as well just maximize the hell out of it. And that is very important to me. And that is what I want to provide to the world. So in today's episode, I want to talk about a few things that I have been very intentional with bringing into this brand new year. And I wanted to expand on a few of these things because I thought to myself that a lot of these things are things that a lot of people brush under the rug and are not very intentional with, which puts them into autopilot, which if you've been following along and you've been listening to quite a few episodes of mine, whenever you reach a phase of autopilot, this is your warning sign to wake up and to reflect on what you're doing with your day-to-day life. Because again, this life is meant to be exciting and fun and lush. And if we're falling into autopilot and we're falling into a day-to-day of same old, like nothing is lighting you up, that is autopilot, and that is our awakening to mix things up. And so I'm going to run through a few things that I wrote down that I'm very, very intentional with focusing on this year in order to live a more lush lifestyle. And lush is different for everybody. In particular for myself, lush for me is peaceful, just to have a feeling of overall peace. And for other people, lush can be just like this luxurious lifestyle. I mean, you traveling across the world, like, experiencing crazy brand new things. And everyone is different and everyone lays on that spectrum different. And it's up to you to really get real with yourself and sit with yourself and ask yourself, how do you really want to feel? So before we dive in to today's episode, I just wanted to preface with that. But let's go ahead and start with number one. So number one, something that I think is super important for every single one of us to be intentional with, is to speak your truth. And if you take a step back and you're thinking about how you live your day to day, how many times do you edit yourself? How many times do you hold yourself back from saying things that you want to say in order to please somebody else? Or maybe it's not to please somebody else, but maybe it's because you're second guessing, like, oh, am I smart enough? Or does this make sense? Or will anybody understand? So I really want you to practice, and it's hard. It's really, really hard, especially if you come from a people-pleasing background, or if maybe you just are used to editing yourself in order to seem a certain way or portray yourself to be a certain way. But if we constantly are doing this, if we're constantly editing ourselves, this can really lock us into feeling unauthentic. And I feel like this is a very popular discussion nowadays because a lot of us have operated this way for a very long time, operating in a way where it gained our parents' approval, or it gained our peers' approval, or one of those, our teachers' approval, right? We had to form ourselves into being and acting and doing things a certain way in order to get approval from others. But a lot of us are getting to a point in our life, and I can feel this, where that is so exhausting, and you can only do that for so long. And again, just going back to my very first point of this episode, is we only get to live one life. So just live it being you and speaking your truth, and talk about things that you want to talk about. You're not, cut into this small box. Like, you're not meant to stay into this small box for the whole duration of your life. You are meant to talk and explore and do things that you want to do. And so I really encourage you to practice speaking your truth. And, maybe that starts small with having conversations with closer people in your life. But on a larger scale, if you're anything like me and maybe your whole entire life is on social media, maybe you're a leader, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a coach, maybe you are a mentor, what have you. If you want to speak about something, if you think that it's very important for others to learn and to understand in order to have a better human experience, please talk about it. Because what I've learned in my experience is every time I have come across a platform or someone's social media, because that's typically where I find my mentors and coaches, every time I come across someone who is just speaking their truth and being so authentic, I am so pulled towards that person because 9 times out of 10, I'm just like, oh my God, I have been thinking the same thing that she or he is talking about. I have just never said it myself because I was scared. And I'm so grateful that this person is talking about this because this is my jam. And this is like what I have always felt deep down inside. And because that person took that leap of faith to express themselves and speak their truth, then we can all start relating to one another more instead of trying to put on this facade of perfection and this facade of being this cookie cutter, whatever we are. It's so empowering to be able to find other people who are speaking their truth and being authentic. And I do want to say this as well, because there's lines that can be blurred, but doing this in a positive light, right? Like being speaking your truth and being authentic in a positive light. By no means do we need more people bringing out negativity in the world and whatnot. Like, no, we're good. But if you have something positive to bring to light or something that can really provoke others' thoughts and help them think a different way, speak your truth. Speak your truth. You're going to find your people that way, and it's going to help others connect way more and help this world be less lonely. And it really takes courage to be able to do this. But once you are able to do this, people will find you and people will relate to you and people will have conversation with you. And again, we will make this world a less lonely place by having a world full of leaders, regardless if you think you're a leader or not. We are all leaders, maybe to our partners, to our children, to our peers, to our friends, whoever, clients, you name it. You're a leader in some way, shape, or form. You really are. And so that is the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and something that I'm trying to be very intentional about, and a huge driver as to why I even started this podcast in the first place, because I do think it's important to share a lot of things that I have going on in my mind. And I know so many of you have messaged me and came back to me and thought, oh my goodness, thank you for saying this. Thank you for making me think about this. And I love that. I love being able to get others to start thinking and clicking on things that they never have thought about thinking about, that can help them actually pick back up the pen and rewrite the story for their life and identity shift into who they want to be, because again, we only get one life to live. So I love that. So that is the first thing that I am trying to be so intentional with this year. And I really encourage every single one of you to do the same. Number 2, this one has been the biggest thing that I want you to be intentional with. And that is slowing down. Slow down. Slow down. Just try your best, try your best. I know we live in a busy, hectic world. Trust me, I have a large team. I have a company. I have a lot of things to do. I have a lot on my plate. And then I choose to add more onto my plate because I'm a psycho. But I encourage you to slow down in the in-betweens, right? Obviously, we got to get things done. There's a time and place for that. But in the in-between space, try to slow down, try to purposely make time where you can slow down instead of waking up or sleeping in into the last minute and then having to rush your morning routine or rush to go do whatever you want. Practice waking up earlier so you can have this peace and this time to yourself to slow down before you have to get into the action. Because obviously, like, there's polarity in life, right? Like, action needs to happen in order for things to happen. But we also need that time and space to slow down in order to take care of ourselves internally. And so however this looks for you, there's so many different ways you can implement slowing down, but definitely recommend waking up earlier, right? And slowing down and being intentional with finding something that you look forward to in the morning, whether that's a morning walk or going to get coffee or journaling, or maybe you do a combination of things. Take some time for you to slow down. And the next thing that I focus on with slowing down is when I'm eating. I used to be in a very bad habit of literally standing up while I eat, while I'm multitasking, while I'm working. It was like, and I still do this to this day, and I have to be intentional with catching myself doing this. But I encourage you to slow down when you eat and really enjoy every single bite, savor every single morsel of food that goes into your body. Slow down and really be intentional with it. You're nourishing your body. It should be a time of feeling grateful, not a time of like scarfing it down or like getting into this crazy, like, you guys know I've been all about feminine masculine energy. Like when we are just like frantic and scarfing down, like that is like crazy masculine energy. Okay. Try to use this time to slow down and like enjoy your food. Slow down and let it nourish every inch of your body. Okay. There is no rush. There is no rush. Try. Okay. Maybe, breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe one of those will have to be rushed. I don't know, just depending on your schedule, but try to find time to make one of those a time where you can like literally slow down. The next thing is like when you are going on a walk, instead of, power walking or, being frantic, like when you're walking, try to slow down. And as a woman, I encourage you to like try to like swing your hips, not looking like a crazy person, but like literally slow down and get into your body. Look up, literally look up into the sky and see what's going on. Look out, look far away. So many of us are like looking down on our phone and like literally only seeing like 2 inches away from us. Like slow down, look up, look far away, really soak in the scenery. This one has been huge for like being able to cultivate peace in my life. So I encourage you in any way possible, try to slow down. Slow down your talking too. Again, this just depends on what you're doing, what activity you're doing. But whenever maybe you're away from work and you're with your friends or with your significant other or something like that, slow down. It will automatically decrease your stress levels. It will automatically put you in a relaxed state. It will automatically help you go from work mode to being present mode. And that's an important switch. And this is very important when it comes to, for all of my masculine women, if you're working on your own feminine journey, is a lot of times we have to be in our masculine for work, and you have to do that. But when we're done with work, being intentional with flipping that switch to your feminine energy. And so the moment you're done with work, like getting into a ritual that will help you slow down, because you don't want to bring that frantic energy to your partner. You don't want to bring that frantic energy to your friends. Like we want to help each other. Okay. And you are responsible for you. And if you can bring that to your friends, to your family, to your significant other, it will literally help them slow down. It will literally help them decrease their stress, because you are bringing this energy to them of calmness. And so we get to do that. And energy, like exchanging energy like that, we can exchange a lot of energy, even walking past people. So like when we're slowed down, have you ever noticed that when you're walking and let's just say, for instance, someone's walking past you and, they just literally seem like they're carefree, and you're looking at them and you're like, oh, and it kind of helps you reframe your situation and maybe be a little bit more carefree. Or maybe, you walk past someone and they smile at you and you're like, oh my gosh, I should smile more. I should smile at the next person. And you see how this brings this momentum to everybody else. Again, just making the world a better place, like overall. So we can do this by working on ourselves and slowing down ourselves. So that one's been really, really important. And just remembering you are this like wave or ripple effect for others. And we can really make a huge change by doing this work ourselves and being intentional ourselves with our own actions. The next one, it kind of goes hand in hand with this, but more feminine energy as women, and especially coming up through the boss babe era. I think we've all made it a point that we can do pretty much anything that any man can do. And I know that that was a huge thing, and I'm glad that we all did it. But from my perspective, I think that we kind of went a little bit too overboard and have neglected a lot of our natural feminine energy. And so I really encourage you to try to bring this back into your day-to-day, whatever this looks like for you. I'm not saying that like we need to take it all the way to the right and just, throw all of our masculine energy out the window. That's never what I'm saying. But let's try to recalibrate. Let's try to bring in that balance, be masculine during your workday, get stuff done. You do you, girl, like get it. But let's try to find some ways to bring in our feminine energy, whether that's like literally taking care of yourself, do your hair, do your makeup, play some music in the morning, have a little dance party while you're getting ready. Have fun with life. Life is not so serious. Life is not so serious. And when we are leaning all the way left in our masculine, sometimes we can really get in our head and everything is so damn serious. And it's just like, I don't know if that's the purpose of life. It's not. So chill. And that's where the feminine energy is so beautiful, because she reminds us to slow down and to love and to care and to be soft and to nurture others and ourselves. And so I really encourage you to be intentional with bringing in more of your feminine energy, your nurturing side. Go out in nature, go on a walk. What else can you do? I mean, obviously, like appearance, like actually taking care of yourself, go get a facial or do an at-home facial, do the self-care, the self-love type of things. Those are all different things that you can implement into your daily practice. Breath work and really getting into your body and getting in tune with your body. All of those things are beautiful things. So the next thing I have, hopefully you guys are liking this. Let me know if you guys are enjoying this. Definitely shoot me a DM and definitely share this episode with any of your girlfriends if you thought that this episode was helpful, or you really resonated with this, or you're wanting to be a little bit more intentional with these things in your life. I always love it when you guys share this on Instagram and tag me, and we get to have a little side conversation about one of these episodes. But the next one is pausing to celebrate the wins. This one is so important to be intentional with, and I really encourage you to do this today. Slow down. We're about 3 months into 2023, and I think that so many times we have so many goals and we have so many thoughts of like, this is where I should be, or this is where I want to be. And we're thinking so futuristically that a lot of times we don't ever take a step back to pause and think about how far you've come already. And we need to stop beating ourselves up for not being where we want to be and slowing down, literally slow down and pause to celebrate the wins that you do have. And the wins, whether they're big or small, I do believe that they all, they all get love. They all get some love, and you should be celebrating them with yourself. So think about that, journal about that, take some time to reflect, like, what have you achieved so far? Think about each area of your life. Maybe it's your mindset. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's like moving. Maybe it's getting a brand new job. Maybe it's, who knows? I don't know what it is, but celebrate your wins. It's so important. And this, at stacking up these wins will really help with your own self-confidence as well. So today's episode is going to be pretty short and to the point. So I'm only going to be discussing just 5 things. That's all. And the 5th one that I wanted to talk about is being happy in the now. And I think that that's super important. It kind of goes hand in hand with my last point of pausing to celebrate the wins. And what I mean by that is so many times and so often, obviously having a coaching business, we see this a lot of times with clients is, the statement of, I'll be happy when I lose 40 pounds, or I'll be happy when I get a promotion, or I'll be happy when I make $60,000, or I'll be happy when, putting all of these confinements to our happiness. And that's just not a way to live. And I've been there before. Trust me, I've been there before. And it took me a long time to get to this point of learning how to be happy in the now and celebrating the small things, like making a big deal about the small things, because so often we just get so focused on the end goal or the big picture. And it takes a lot of hard work and a very long time to even get to that goal in the first place. Like I'm talking like years for most of us to even reach any of those like financial goals or physical goals or relationship goals or career, like any of those. It takes a while. So if you're saying to yourself, I'll be happy when, that means you're literally risking years of your life just being unhappy. And I don't have time for that. Like life is way too beautiful, and there's way too much to experience and people to meet, and things to do to not be happy. So I want you to be proactive, and I encourage you to focus on being happy in the now. Obviously, a great practice for this is just a gratitude list every morning. If you take out your journal and you're able to really reflect and think about 3 things that I'm happy for. And I know that that could be like overused for a lot of people, and it definitely is not helpful at all if you're just kind of like zipping through it and you're like, yep, I'm grateful for my dog, I'm grateful for the weather, I'm grateful for my hair. If you're just like doing it like that, like the intentionality behind it isn't very potent. So I encourage you to get very granular, like very detailed on what specifically you are grateful for today. And a lot of times what could be helpful is when you're reflecting on like situations or events that happened and who was a part of it, who helped you, why they helped you, what conversation came out of it, what opportunity came across, what conversation did you have today? Like those deeper details can really help you get into a more grateful state rather than just stating like, I'm grateful for my home, my slippers, like, like those types of things. Like a lot of times when we think about people, connections, conversations, events, powerful things like that, that can really help you get into being happy in the now. And this is a constant reminder that I have to tell myself, especially when a lot of things are redundant, or not redundant, but a lot of things are typically happening. So let's just say, for instance, you're a teacher. And so you're like, okay, like same thing every day. I see my kids every day. I teach the same thing every day, yada, yada, yada. So being really intentional with being happy in the now. And so reframing your headspace and thinking, every single time your kids walk into the classroom, like literally thinking, specifically on a certain kid and just thinking, wow, like in the beginning of the year, maybe they weren't really understanding how to do subtraction and addition. And then they walk through the door today and you're just like, think to yourself and you're like, damn, we've had a really cool transformation together. That's really, really cool. It's cool to see that transformation and that growth from this student that I have, and, see how that is a lot different. Or maybe you're a coach and you work with clients and, this is normal for you. You work with clients and maybe it's been like 2 to 3 years of working with a client or working with clients. And so, you're continuously working with new clients. And so at some point, sometimes you forget to be happy or grateful when you get a brand new client, because you've been getting new clients or you've been working with clients. And so I really encourage you to, next time you get a new client, like remember, like I just want you to take a step back and just remember that this one person somehow out of everybody in the whole entire world had to jump through all these hoops, go through all types of life's events, all heartbreaks, all positive events, negative events, breakups, career paths, everything. They had to do all of this crazy stuff. And then somehow they ended up in your circle. And then they decided, oh my gosh, I really resonate with this person. I think that they can help me change my life. and I get to work with them. When you think about it that way, then every single time, like you could be happy. You can be happy. You know what I mean? But we forget to like start thinking like that because it's so easy to get on autopilot. It's so easy to start taking things for granted. And so I encourage you to start thinking things in that perspective, to think about like, oh my gosh, this person wants to work with me out of every single person in the world. Like, what a cool opportunity, right? And it really helps you change that mindset from getting into that, normal day-to-day autopilot type of thing. So that's what I want to leave you with. And I hope that you were able to get something. Maybe you can focus on one of these things to be more intentional with, whether that's speaking your truth and being authentic, slowing down, pausing to celebrate the wins, being happy in the now, or integrating more feminine energy into your day-to-day. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you don't already, follow me over on Instagram at Kaylin Piles, and please leave me a 5-star review over on Spotify and also on Apple Podcast, and leave me a written review. I believe you can only do that on Apple. Yeah, you can only do it on Apple Podcasts. So if you could write a written review, let me know what you like about the podcast. And I appreciate you so, so much. But until next time, I will see you on the next episode. Bye.